Here we go.
Oh, Kelvin's next.
Kelvin's
versus D-Rod.
Misses all that weight. You know he has a show called Missing Weight where he eats food?
That's hilarious.
And
then he missed weight.
He was eating tacos. He goes, definitely ain't making weight.
Yeah.
And that came out like a week ago.
He is a wild, rough
Calvin.
dude.
He's so talented,
Bro,
too.
I had a conversation with him maybe 8 years ago at the store. 8 years ago.
He was always at the store.
Always at the store. We were hanging out, and I said, Kelvin, if you just got disciplined and dropped down to 170, you're a world champion. He's like, I know. Meanwhile,
All right, so I'm still pretty sick, but I wanted to make this video regardless. Today we're going to be talking about Kelvin Gastelum and why his UFC career has been such a massive underachievement, especially considering the incredible talent he showed early on. And of course, he was supposed to fight Joe Pyfer this past weekend at UFC Mexico, but the fight ended up getting canceled because of Pyfer. But honestly, I was going to make this video regardless of whether or not Kelvin won or lost the fight, because the ink is already dry when it comes to his career. This guy had all the tools to be a top dog at welterweight, and who knows, maybe even champ at 170, yet he somehow squandered nearly every opportunity through sheer lack of discipline and dedication. And that's not to say that Kelvin has necessarily had a bad career, even in spite of the fact that he spent most of it being a completely undersized middleweight, but I think that only further highlights how much more he could have accomplished if he actually got disciplined. And yeah, I'll be talking about all this and more throughout this video. First, we gotta rewind back to the early days because it's genuinely easy to forget just how promising Kelvin's beginnings were. Remember, this is the same guy who at just 21 years old ran through the Ultimate Fighter 17, defeating Uriah Hall in the process, who everyone back then was treating like the second coming of Anderson Silva. Gastelum was undersized, overlooked, and straight up disrespected by almost everyone, and yet he won tough, shocking fans and Dana White alike. From the jump, it was obvious Gastelum had something special. He had excellent boxing fundamentals, insane durability, a slick wrestling background, and an iron chin to top it off. And I personally dislike how loosely the term future champion is thrown around by MMA fans these days, but when it comes to Kelvin, his potential at welterweight really was sky high. Like, I really think he could have done it. But here's the thing, Gastelum's issues with dedication began right out the gate. Despite his obvious potential at welterweight, Kelvin's struggles with weight management repeatedly derailed what should have been a smooth climb to the top of the division. This dude has missed weight a ridiculous 4 times throughout his UFC career, and each time that he's missed weight was by a huge margin. The first time he missed weight was in his 4th UFC fight, where he weighed in almost 2 pounds over, which might not sound like a lot, but it really is.
173.
173.
2 pounds over.
2 pounds.
Normally, yeah, he looks pretty sucked down whenever he gets on the scale.
Regardless, he ended up winning the fight and extended his record to 10-0 in the process. Then, just 2 fights later, Kelvin missed weight again against Tyron Woodley, where he came in 9 pounds overweight. That is astronomical.
and Gastelum! 180. Kelvin misses by 10 pounds.
There is genuinely no excuse for being that overweight other than just not having the self-control to not put more tacos down his throat. And that's not even me trying to make an edgy joke. The guy loves his tacos. Anyways, Kelvin ends up losing for the first time in his career against Woodley despite the massive weight advantage. And sure, the fight itself was super close and ended in a split decision, but let's be real here. If Kelvin actually put his body through the rest of the weight cut, then the fight probably would have been much more clear in T. Wood's favor. Overall, this was just a terrible, terrible display of unprofessionalism out of Kelvin, and as much as I would like to say that this is where he stopped fucking around, this isn't even the worst of it, because just 1 year later at UFC 205, where he was slated to fight Cowboy Cerrone, not only did Kelvin not make weight, he didn't even step on the scale. On the day of the weigh-ins, he basically told the UFC and the New York State Athletic Commission that he was too fat and he's not even going to bother weighing in. And unlike most other states where even if a fighter is overweight, the fight can still go on, according to Dana himself, Kelvin was 10 pounds too heavy, and that was well outside what was acceptable by the commission, and thus the fight was cancelled. In this statement, Dana announced that Kelvin would never be allowed to fight at welterweight ever again.
Frustrating to feel when a guy can't make weight like that.
I'll never let him fight at 170 again.
Really?
Yeah.
He missed it before by like 9 pounds. That's
I think he missed this one by 10 pounds.
And look, I criticize Dana a lot, but he absolutely made the right call here. At this point in time, Kelvin missed weight 3 times in about 2 years, and obviously something had to be done, and given the circumstances, I think Dana was well within his rights to force him up to middleweight. The only issue that I have with this is that Dana didn't stand his ground. In 2023, for reasons I will never understand, Kelvin was allowed back at welterweight, where he got absolutely ran through by Sean Brady, but in his defense, at least he was able to get on the scale and properly make weight. But surprise, surfucking-prise, just 6 months later when he was scheduled to fight Daniel Rodriguez, the same old Kelvin came out to play. During fight week, Gastelum encountered difficulties making weight and revealed that he couldn't make 170, and then Rodriguez, who was already close to making weight, agreed to move the fight to 185 on short notice. Kelvin ended up winning a clear unanimous decision, but obviously I think that there is a massive asterisk surrounding this win, seeing as he didn't even try to get down to cut the weight. Not gonna lie, the circumstances of this fight really leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and even though I'm not even a fan of D-Rod, I feel sorry for the guy.
Actually, the matchmakers reached out, and I tried to get it to a catch weight, but I mean, he must be having such a bad fight camp that he can't even make 180. You know, I'm currently 179 pounds, you know, so I have to put weight back on. It's been 13 weeks since I found out about this fight. I'm sure he has too. So the fact that he's saying that he's having a bad fight camp, it makes no sense, you know. And I feel like it's lack of discipline. I don't know if he's having a bad fight camp or just being lazy and doesn't want to make the weight.
And do you know what makes things even worse? Just a couple of weeks before this fight, Kelvin uploaded a vlog to his YouTube channel where the title of the series is literally called Missing Weight, and the video is just him scarfing down tacos.
Pipe hole. Hell yeah. You guys gotta try this. That's also a 9.5, man. That was probably one of my favorite tacos as well. Throw a little onions, a little cilantro, a little lime. Boom. You hit the bingo with that one, man. 9.5 out of 10 for the cabeza tacos. This right here is the carne asada. I always go with this kind of meat. I always go flour tortilla. I don't know why, and then the rest are all corn tortillas. These are my favorite.
I'm sorry, but this is just pathetic out of Kelvin. The guy just clearly doesn't care and probably hasn't cared about achieving genuine success in his career for a while now. He just can't drop the fucking fork, and it very clearly negatively affected his career in a major way. Instead of competing as a top-tier welterweight or even potentially cutting down to lightweight, where frankly his body type and skill set would have been ideal, Gastelum spent the prime years of his career fighting at middleweight, where he was just completely undersized and outmuscled. And sure, Kelvin was able to score some big wins at middleweight over aging veterans like Michael Bisping and Jacare Souza, but whenever he stepped against elite contenders who were actually natural middleweights, he lost more than he won. Prior to being banned from welterweight for the first time, Kelvin was 7-2 in the UFC, but after being relegated to middleweight, he's gone 6-7 with one no contest thrown in there. Gastelum's most significant moment in the UFC came against Israel Adesanya, where he lost. In that fight, he demonstrated just how elite his skill set truly was, and for large portions of the fight, he was outstriking Adesanya. That night, he was so close to beating Israel and becoming the interim champion of a weight division he has no business fighting in, so just think about what he could have done if he spent his entire career at 170 like he was supposed to. You know, it's widely known that Gastelum hasn't enjoyed living the life of a professional athlete outside of fight camp, often ballooning in weight, partying, and failing to maintain the lifestyle that elite competitors live year-round. And that's really the crux of Kelvin's story. His lack of focus and dedication has repeatedly overshadowed his undeniable talent. Even after the Adesanya fight, Gastelum continued struggling to maintain any semblance of momentum. His losses to Darren Till, Jack Hermanson, and Robert Whittaker underscored his inability to compete at the highest level in a division that wasn't suited to his physical frame. Honestly, every time Kelvin's fought at middleweight, I find myself wondering why this talented guy refused to get his diet and training regimen under control. This has been an incredibly frustrating situation because the solution is clear to anybody paying attention. Go back down to welterweight, take your diet seriously, and then win against guys who are actually your size. And as much as I genuinely like watching Kelvin fight, because let's be honest, he always brings the entertainment, it has become frustratingly clear that he is his own worst enemy. Kelvin has consistently squandered his prime years through laziness and poor decision making outside of the cage, and I think it's a damn fucking shame what his career has amounted to. And Kelvin's wasted potential isn't just some fan talking point, it's genuinely one of the most disappointing examples of underachievement in modern MMA history. The guy had legitimate superstar talent, natural charisma, and a highly marketable fighting style, but he allowed his career to stall out simply because he didn't have the professional discipline necessary to fulfill his massive potential. At this point, it's tough to imagine Kelvin ever truly correcting course. Sure, he might occasionally pick up a win here or there, especially if the UFC continues to throw him aging vets or undersized middleweights, but Kelvin's ceiling now seems permanently capped due to his laziness and lack of focus. Eventually, these opportunities dry up and you're left looking back wondering what could have been if you'd just taken your career seriously. So there it is, the frustrating story of Kelvin Gastelum, one of the UFC's biggest what-if cases in my opinion. His talent wasted, opportunities squandered, and his potential left painfully unfulfilled. It's a tough pill to swallow, but hey, that's the brutal reality of MMA. Anyways, that's the video for today. Definitely let me know your thoughts on Kelvin Gastelum's career. Could he still turn it around, or is his story permanently etched as a cautionary tale? As always, if you like the video, then like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
I mean, kind of the same recipe to all of them, you know, but you can pick and choose what you want. Lettuce, you want purple onions on it, different kind of salsa. You pick and choose, man. You're the master of your destiny when it comes to tacos. This meat is really well done. You can taste the juices, how well it marinated in there. Oh, it's good. I give it an 8.5.